Good Monday morning. It is the first day of the BookTubeAthon, and I'm up, just sitting out here, eating some breakfast, drinking some tea, and I need to figure out which book I'm starting the BookTubeAthon with. And to do that, I have to let a coin toss decide. So I decided to choose between these two books, which I have marked with sticky tabs so that each day I can complete a certain number of poems, for in the case of the collected John Keats poetry, or the collection of John Keats poetry, and essays for Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde. So those are the two I'm gonna be choosing between. There's about like 3 or 4 poems each day for me in the John Keats collection, and then I think 2 or 3 essays in this one. But yes, let's see. Since Sister Outsider has a head on it, we'll make that heads, and then the back tails. This is actually a South Carolina quarter, which has a bird on it. Quite fitting. Okay, I'm just gonna flip this now and see what happens. And it landed heads, so I'm gonna be starting with reading my speeches and essays for Sister Outsider, and I think it's just 2 or 3 today. But yeah, I'm excited. I don't have much going on today, so after I finish reading those, I'm either going to read my poems for the day, or I'm going to move on to another book. I'm trying to decide whether it's smarter and more time effective for me to begin on some of my smaller books for the readathon, and maybe try and finish one today. And for those, that would be Rain by Melissa Harrison or Eugene Onegin by Alexander Pushkin, or if it would be better in the long run for me to start Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline Susann, which is really big, but if I start on it now rather than being left, if I start on it now when I have a full 7 days to finish reading it rather than starting on it later, it might be better? I don't know yet. We'll see how I'm feeling. I just came back from a walk up to a rock that's kind of outside my house, by a park outside my house. And when I got there to the top of that rock, I read a bit of the John Keats poems selected by Andrew Motion. So I read 3 poems from there, which were really cool. I forgot how much I liked John Keats. I've also been reading The Valley of Dolls by Jacqueline Susann, which is so captivating. I think just the narration of the main character at this point, Anne, is just really fascinating in her experience, moving from like a very like proper New England town to New York City and kind of adjusting to it culturally, which is really interesting, like thinking about the different like cultural niches that we have in such a small like geographic area. But that's been great. I think I'm 100 pages or so into that, so I'm going to read a bit more of that before I go to sleep, and then I'll check in with you tomorrow. Good morning. It is Tuesday the 31st of July, day 2 of the BookTubeAthon, and it's about 11 o'clock. I'm off to go to a coffee shop and do some more reading. I read a little bit more of The Valley of the Dolls last night, and then this morning when I woke up, and so I'm gonna keep on reading that, as well as the 2 or 3 essays in the Audre Lorde collection that I have to read. And then, yep, I'm just gonna hang out. I think my plan for today is an ambitious plan for today is to finish Valley of the Dolls, but I think that'll put me at a decent spot so I can move on to some of the other books. Hello, so it is about 5:30 on Tuesday, and I've made it about, let's see, 248 pages through Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline Susann, and it's just wild. I'm going to try to read another 20 pages of this. I think there's like a chapter break or a narrative break there, and then I'm going to move on to reading the essays by Audre Lorde that I have to read today, and my poems by John Keats, which I will be wearing my hat. I don't know if I made it clear yesterday that I'm wearing a hat for that, but yeah. Okay, so here I am, outside, in my hammock, with my hat on, about to read some John Keats. Very excited, very excited. It's 94 out, so I might go back inside soon. We'll see. Hello, it is Wednesday, the 1st of August. It's finally August. So it's day 3 of the BookTubeAthon, and I haven't done that much reading today. I read a couple more essays, speeches, letters, from the Audre Lorde collection, and I read a couple pages from Valley of the Dolls. I'm more than halfway through with that one. While I would like to finish it today, I don't know if that's gonna happen. It's afternoon, it's like 1, so I'm going to make some food and then kind of clean up my room and then read a bit more of Valley of the Dolls. It is the 4th day of BookTubeAthon. It's Thursday. It's 9 in the morning. I'm outside reading because it's nice out and not 100 degrees like it was yesterday. Thank the Lord. But I am planning on finishing the Valley of the Dolls this morning before I have to go somewhere. If I finish that soon, I'll go get my handy dandy hat and read some more John Keats. I've really been enjoying reading that collection. It's nice to reread some of the poems that I've studied in school, because they reminded me of the teachers who I've like studied them with, which was really nice. And I've also really been enjoying the Audre Lorde collection. She's a brilliant woman. Like, the way that she articulates herself and her ideas is really astounding, and I like reading it quite a lot. Good evening. It is 10 o'clock, almost 10 o'clock, on Thursday, day 4 of BookTubeAthon, and I finished Valley of the Dolls earlier today, which was exciting. First challenge completed, and that was read a book with a pretty spine. And then I moved on to Rain for Walks in English Weather by Melissa Harrison, and I'm about halfway through this. I sat and read this in the bath while I was taking a bath, and I'm going to try to finish this before I go to sleep. Good morning. It is Friday, day 5 of the BookTubeAthon, and it's a little past 9. Last night I finished reading Rain by Melissa Harrison, so I've completed 2 books and 2 challenges. This was the book I read for the Read a Book About Something You Want to Do challenge, so I'm glad to have that finished. It was very interesting. It reminded me kind of Annie Dillard's Pilgrim at Tinker Creek, which was interesting. But I have been reading Eugene Onegin by Alexander Pushkin, and I'm about a chapter through, which is, like 34 pages. So I'm going to get through as much of that as I can today. If I finish it, I'll watch the ballet adaptation, but if I finish it late, I'll just do that tomorrow. I plan on going to a coffee shop to read the essays and speeches by Audre Lorde. I have a reading that I was supposed to get done yesterday and reading for today. So I think I'll just go somewhere and do that. I also need to read the poems for today of John Keats. And seeing how I'm feeling with those two and with Eugene Onegin, I might finish one of the two books that I've been reading every day, John Keats' poetry and Audre Lorde's stuff. I might decide to just go on through with those. Good morning, it is Saturday, day 6 of the BookTubeAthon, and I just finished reading John Keats' poem selected by Roper-Moyes, so I get to take my hat off. That'll be nice. This was an interesting poetry collection. I like Keats' work, but he's also very angsty as a poet, like, lots of angst. My favorite poem in here so far was selections from a longer poem called Endymion. So I thought that was quite nice. And there were also a lot of poems in there that I've read and studied already. So last night I finished reading Eugene Onegin by Pushkin, and I found it quite difficult to get through. And I think the reason why is that Eugene Onegin is a character trope that I don't like, which I've seen a lot in like Victorian literature, and this is a fairly like wealthy, like well-off dude who is a bit of a dandy and like makes decisions without thinking about consequences, and then kind of pouts about the consequences that ensue, and is kind of just awful and like ruins things for everyone, which is what I found. I mean, yeah, it was interesting. So it was kind of difficult to get through. I'm excited to watch the ballet today. I need to finish reading the essays from Audre Lorde's collection, Sister Outsider, and that'll be the last of those, and so I'll have that finished today. And then I'm going to start The English Patient by Michael Ondaatje, and get at least halfway through this. It is now pretty well into the afternoon. I made myself a lunch snack thing, which is just some toast and hummus and avocado and some dressing on there. I'm not that far into The English Patient, but I'm gonna try and get a fair bit into it today, and then I have the rest of Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde to read, and depending on how I'm feeling, I'll either try to like get really far into this, or I'll get halfway into that and start reading something else. Hello, so it is 5:30 now, and I've gotten about 120 pages through The English Patient, which is great. I'm really enjoying it, but I kind of just need a change of speed from it before I continue on. So I'm about to watch the ballet of Eugene Onegin. I found a version on YouTube from the National Ballet of Canada, so I'm just gonna watch that. That was the only full one that I could find. Good morning. It's about 11, almost 11, and I'm here with my second breakfast. I'm basically a hobbit. But in all honesty, I generally do eat 2 breakfasts. That's beside the point. I'm about like 220 pages through The English Patient, and I'm enjoying it a lot. So it's about 4 now on Sunday. It's Sunday. And I finished reading The English Patient, which was absolutely amazing. It's just phenomenal. I think I wasn't really expecting anything. I was expecting to like it, but like I wasn't going into it knowing much about the plot or anything else, but just like the way that each of the characters is so emotionally complex and different from each other is just amazing. And like just the subtle ways that we get to know that and get to learn more about the characters was really awesome. So I had a choice whether I wanted to pick up The Girl Who Fell Beneath Fairyland, and I kind of decided earlier today that that wasn't gonna happen. And then I was like, maybe I'm gonna pick up New Ancients by Kate Tempest, which I have been wanting to get through, and I listened to like an introduction of it, and I really liked it, but it wasn't really what I was in the mood for, so I just decided to pick up the book that I set down before the BookTubeAthon started, and that's Sapiens by, oh, it's upside down, and the dust jacket is off, so that doesn't really matter, but it's Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. This is a brief history of humankind, and it's been really fascinating to me. It reminds me a lot of a class I had to take my first year of high school that was just like Western civilization and like a history of that, so it's kind of making me really nostalgic for that class. I had a really awesome teacher who I enjoyed quite a lot, but I've been enjoying this. I just finished a chapter about imperialism, which was fascinating. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep working on that rather than picking up a new book because, you know, I want to. I've really enjoyed the books that I've read and finished this BookTubeAthon, and at the end of the night I will do a wrap-up of everything I've read. So yeah, I've completed 6 challenges, which I feel really good about.